Hey everybody, welcome back to Candid Mike. I'm Mitchell Lavender, your host, and it is so good to be with you guys again. I hope that you have been having a phenomenal week and that God has been evident in your life and you are learning to love, appreciate, and cherish Him more and more. In today's episode, we are continuing the ministry toolbox. And today we are talking about training. Speaking of which, just a little update. We are continuing to train for the Go Ruck Star Course Challenge, which is coming up in November. It's been awesome. I got to go on a 5-mile ruck with Christian Konhauser and Tab today. And these are two great men who I admire and love, great friends of mine, fellow Christians. We worship together. And I love these guys. We got to talk about our lives and really connect and bond and just share a good time while we were rucking. It was great. We woke up pretty early. Got to rucking about 5 a.m. and we hit the road, man. It was good. Good. It was nice and quiet out there. We got to walk along the street, which is probably one of my favorite things about getting up so early in the morning. You get to just dominate the whole street. There's no cars out there, so you have the freedom of just the cool air, which eventually heats up because it gets super hot. But it's quiet, and you're just with people you love, and you get to talk and walk and think and work hard, and it's just a good thing. So anyway, if you've never gone on a ruck, I'd encourage you to check out goruck.com. Awesome website, awesome people, awesome work. I think you'd like it. Let's get started. So I got a story for you. Chris Stowers is a great friend of mine. He's my mentor. He's one of my spiritual mentors. He is training me. He has been training me for the last 4 to 5 years in ministry. And there's a particular instance that came up one time. I found myself angry. I was in a situation with, this is a while back, a fellow Christian was talking bad about me behind my back to people who had been visiting the church at the time. And it was tough because you're thinking to yourself, man, like I just talk to me, let me know what's going on. And hindsight is always 20/20. There were things I was doing that weren't right. There were things that this person was doing that weren't right. And we never had the chance to actually directly talk about it because this person wouldn't express their feelings to me. I'm not exactly sure why. So I'm angry. I'm really angry. And I talked to Chris about it. And I'm about ready to blow up on this person. Now, Chris, being the man of God that he is, he uses it as an opportunity to train my mind and my heart. So he talked to me after a Wednesday night service for about 30 minutes. He listened to my heart. He drew my heart out. And he helped me realize that this was a great opportunity to seek understanding from this person. All the while, he warned me that some of the things that they say are going to be right, and some of the things that they're going to say are going to be wrong. But the key was that I wasn't supposed to defend myself. He told me, don't defend yourself, just listen to understand. I thought he was crazy. I'm like, I'm right. How am I supposed to listen to somebody when they're wrong and I'm not supposed to defend myself? And it's crazy because he called me to the same standard of Jesus Christ, who when he was wronged, when he was persecuted, when he was insulted, he did not insult back. So I'm thinking about this, and he gave me very clear instructions. He told me, look, go and meet with this person, sit down, ask them how they feel, ask them what they're worried about, ask them what's bothering them, ask them what you can do better, and listen, and don't defend yourself. So that at that point, I had a task. I took that task, I went, and I did exactly what he told me to do. It worked. I found out that there were areas I needed to improve on. This person found out that there were areas he needed to improve on. And we were able to move forward from that point on. It was extremely difficult because I had to put my pride aside, But at the same time, I realized that Chris trained me in how to love someone. If it wasn't for this instance in my life, I don't know if I would love the way I do. And I'm so thankful for him taking the time to deliberately put me in a situation where I could be trained, I could practice, basically, in submission to the scriptures and do what was right. After this happened, I went and I talked to Chris and filled him in on everything that took place. And he basically gave me a good evaluation of things I did great, maybe something I could have done better, and what I need to do next time. He deliberately trained me. And this is something that I'm incredibly thankful for. Training is all over the scriptures. I'll list 4 New Testament verses for you so that you can consider the context in which they're used. In 1 Corinthians 9:25, Paul says, everyone who competes in the games, referring to the Olympic Games, goes into strict training. They do it to get a crown that will not last, but we do it to get a crown that will last forever. In Ephesians 6:4, fathers, do not exasperate your children. Instead, bring them up in the training and instruction of the Lord. In 1 Timothy 4:8, for physical training is of some value, but godliness has value for all things, holding promise for both the present life and the life to come. And finally, 2 Timothy 3:16, all scripture is God-breathed and is useful for teaching, rebuking, correcting, and training in righteousness. This concept of training is very evident in the scriptures. You may be wondering what exactly it means, and when you hear the word training, you may picture what I've been talking about on my Instagram page, which is physical training, getting up and doing a repetitive action to hone a skill. And that's similar, but the training used in the scriptures here is more of a cultivation of the mind, morals, and soul. It also includes, the act of correcting mistakes and curbing passions. So it's more of a definitely spiritual training here. And since this is Ministry Toolbox, you're probably a minister or a disciple. So one of the things I just want to put on our minds is that there are many areas that as disciples we need to be trained. One of the things that Jesus tells us in Matthew 28 is to teach them to obey everything I have commanded you. That's a long list, right? So if you think about it, man, we need to be trained on how to love people, like Chris trained me. We need to be trained on how to share the gospel with people. We need to be trained on how to plan, not just our own personal lives and our time and manage our time, but also in ministry, you have to plan calendars and lessons, and you have to plan challenges and different things that you will do on the ground to move people in the correct direction. When it comes to speaking, preaching, or teaching, you have to plan. You have to practice how to speak. You have to practice speaking. What about leading worship? When it comes to song worship, I mean, these guys put in hours and hours of training and practice when it comes to how to properly play their instruments and raise their voices to bring glory to the Lord. These are areas of training that are necessary. So I just want you to think about this 4 steps. 1, take someone along with you. 2, let them observe. 3, give them the same task and let them do it by themselves, and then evaluate them for their progress. One of the things we get into trouble with is that we don't practice or quote unquote train in social areas as much as we train in others. For example, it's very normal for a child to go to football practice or baseball practice or gymnastics practice or ballet practice and go through the moves over and over and over, or catch the ball, hit the bat, bend down first, put your glove on the ground, catch the ball, or don't dribble with your left hand, or don't dribble with your right, or whatever. We practice all of these mechanics coming up as kids. But sometimes we don't practice spiritual or social things. Do we practice praying together? Do we practice, again, how to love someone? Do we practice apologizing? Do we train these things? There's lots and lots of areas, especially if you're parents, you are going through this and doing this well, hopefully, and if you're in ministry, there's different areas where, to yourself, you may think, this is so simple. Like, why don't people know how to do this? And maybe they do know, right? Maybe they know, but they need to be trained. Notice the Ephesians 6:4 says, fathers, do not exasperate your children. Instead, bring them up in the training and instruction. There's a difference there, right? Training involves that step of correcting mistakes and curbing passions. Instruction is, let me put this on your mind. Training is more so, let me show you how to do this. Let's work on this together. Let's change and mold ourselves into Christ together. So I want you to think about that hands-on process. Who are you hands-on with in your life, in your ministry? Who are you teaching how to love? Who are you teaching how to pray? Who are you teaching how to think? Up here in Tallahassee, one of the big things that I'm very convicted about in our ministry is passing on the skill of teaching people how to think and reason and use their minds. We don't want people just to follow blindly, or people to go and do the rules blindly, because when circumstances change and rules change, then they won't know how to think through situations. We want people to think and strive to have the mind of Christ and discern what is best in each and every given situation. And this takes time. It's not the most convenient thing to not give someone the answer all the time. Sometimes it's frustrating waiting for a person to figure it out. But in the long run, we're training them how to use their mind, right? So again, just ask yourself, who are you really training? Who do you pull along in your life so that they see how you love your husband or love your wife? So that they see how you pray for your family or pray when difficult times come. Who are you pulling along so they see how you study the Bible with someone, how you answer or ask the right questions? Who are you pulling along? And the other thing to this is it's not just pulling along, but also delegating. If you observe Jesus in the Gospels, he gives the apostles very clear instructions to go to do different things, especially when he sends them out 2 by 2. He sends them out with clear instructions. They go, they do exactly what he asks. He comes behind them, he does his job, and then he follows up with them. He gave a task and then he evaluated it. And Jesus was constantly training the apostles' hearts. Again, this isn't just about doing the right things as much as it is about shaping and honing, again, the mind and the morals and the soul, right? Curbing those passions and correcting those mistakes. Training is extremely important. One of the things that was very difficult for me in transitioning in our campus ministry when it first started off, we were pretty tiny, and there were things that were normal to me that weren't normal to the people that I was serving and leading. And it went click one day. It went click, and I thought to myself, you know what? Wait, I can't expect them to do things that I was trained to do. I have to train them. I have to show them. I have to help them come and see, give them the same task, and then evaluate their progress and help them grow. We can't expect people to be able to do the things that we do naturally, and we also can't expect people to be able to do the things that we were trained to do. We have to hone their natural skills and train them to do the things that they're unable to. And that's a process. It takes time, but it takes being very deliberate and very serious about shaping a mind and shaping a heart. I hope this episode encourages you. I know it's a bit short, but it's straight to the point. Training in the scriptures is pretty clear. Once again, 1 Corinthians 9:25, Ephesians 6:4, 1 Timothy 4:8, and 2 Timothy 3:16. All great passages that include training, whether it be physical or spiritual. We focused on the spiritual today, and I hope that this encourages you, and I hope that you can take this bit of information and hone your skills in training the people you serve. Thanks for listening. Thank you for listening to Candid Mike, where we share life and ministry principles to inspire transformation and ministry development. Each episode is a joy for us to record, and we are so thankful that you tune in to listen to us. A big thanks to Steezy Prime for our show music, which you can find more of his music on SoundCloud at Steezy Prime. Please stay tuned for our next episode and follow us on Instagram at Candid Mike Podcast.